我是一个辅助，我跟我的队员关系非常好，对，像一个大家庭，就不像在公司上班。
我感觉他比的话，应该是一个是一个工作非常认真的人吧，就是不会惹人很生气，会让人很开心的那种。
他比的话，我身为队长，我觉得很满意吧，因为在他来之前，我们春季赛几乎是可以说我们就没有一个明确的队长在队里面，而且没有什么太大的感觉队长的存在吧。现在有了一个核心，所以说非常好。
我很喜欢唱歌，除了吃东西还有睡觉的时候，我一定在唱歌。You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to more on stormy seas.
他唱歌其实蛮好听的，因为他每次看到《中国好声音》上面唱的时候，他都说这个没我厉害。
那Lucky 就是我们导演呢，他也是特别喜欢唱歌这样的。
唱歌，然后就没有什么其他娱乐活动了。
Rap Mandarin, I like to sing this. 至少有10年，我不曾流淚。Last song is Cantonese. 明年今日，別要再失眠，床褥都改變。如果有幸會面，或在同伴新婚的盛宴，惶惑地等待你出現。那我们上单呢，他很特别，就是他非常腼腆，他是无论任何时候都是很腼腆的一个小男孩。
对比他们的话，我是一个非常不喜欢唱歌的人。
我们先每个队员讲一下吧。小狗就特别喜欢唱歌，然后他就会在基地我们训练的时候，突然就会大声的喊，大声的唱，然后他也很腼腆。
我很喜欢唱歌，但是我唱歌非常烂。平时应该就是跟队员们一起去唱歌，然后我就是一般在旁边听，然后会自己哼吧，不会唱。我是不是你最疼爱的人？
那我的话呢，我就跟小狗一样的，我特别喜欢唱歌，有时候他唱一句我就唱一句这样。我是不是你最疼爱的人？你为什么不说话？聚在一起就很容易就开玩笑，就笑得很欢，就玩得很疯，这样就我非常喜欢跟他们在一起。
Fnatic versus Royal. Let's just start talking about this matchup. No one's actually played against as much Fnatic as you two have because you played against them the entire 2 splits. What actually, if we could get specific with, is unique about their play style?
They play a lot of like a catch style. So if they get ahead of you, they will deny you all the vision and they will just wait for you somewhere to make a move and they will punish you for that. So they're very hard to like make a comeback on because they just completely deny you the vision and just start roaming in your jungle and like small skirmishes and catch you out.
The one thing I see Royal having an advantage in is they like to team fight a lot, and because of Fnatic like taking, for example, 2 teleports, it weakens their team fight ability early on. And I think if Royal can force those fights early on and stop Fnatic getting rolling with the TPs and making plays happen, I think that might be the answer. And we're just going to wait and see.
To build off of that, Royal, everyone praises Uzi for his mechanics, for his play, but if you like, word on the street is like when Uzi does well, Royal will just win. But when he doesn't, when he underperforms, he doesn't get going, they can't really pull out those wins as successfully as they did in their games versus OMG.
Uzi's positioning has to be exceptional for being able to survive against the onslaught of just double APs rushing against your AD carry.
With the double teleport, you can eliminate a lot of Uzi's potential team fight positioning as well, because you can come in flanks with good wards in team fights, and if they can just chase down Uzi, and they have the champion pools to do it as well. I think we're probably going to see some top lane Lissandra from SOAS in an attempt to kind of get into the mix and get that targeted ult down to shut Uzi down.
Can you guys pick a winner here between Fnatic and Royal? Because we've talked about how it might be one side or the other way. It's a 5v5 team versus a crazy Fnatic team. Which style will actually come out on top?
I'm going to call Fnatic take it.
I should say Fnatic as well, some European, but I'll say 3-2 to Fnatic.
I'm biased here because I used to play with 3 members of Royal in NA, so I'm simply going with Royal just because I am more No, I know them.
But from what we've seen so far, I like Fnatic here.
Boy, last pick.
Pretty interested to see if Royal has like a built answer. I want to see what they're going to try to prepare for that, but I would have to say Fnatic 3-2.
Welcome back to the Season 3 World Championship live from the Galen Center. And although we won't be delivering this one in the key of Tabe, it still stands to be an epic matchup. It's time for Game 1 in this best-of-5 semifinal matchup between the European champions Fnatic and China's top team, Royal Club.
Yeah, and on Wednesday, Fnatic won the coin flip and chose the blue side for Game 1, so that means they have first pick in Champ Select in Games 1, 3, and 5 if it happens.
And with that, let's send it down to the main stage where Shox is waiting with today's starting lineups.
Thank you very much, D-Man. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet the teams for our semifinal matchup of today between Fnatic and Royal Club. Starting on the blue side for Game 1, it's Fnatic!
Starting in the top lane, Soaz. In the jungle, Cyanide. In mid, Peke. At 80 carry, Fuju. And at support, Yellow Star. They are Fnatic.
And starting on the red side for Game 1, it's Royal Club!
Starting in the top lane, Godlike. In the jungle, Lucky. In mid, White. At 80 carry, Uzi. And at support, Tabe. They are Royal Club.
Please give it up one more time for today's competitors, Fnatic and Royal Club. Gentlemen, please take your positions. Good luck and have fun. And now let's send it back over to the guys at the caster desk for a look at the two teams.
Thank you very much, Shox. It is a battle between the best team in Europe, Fnatic, and after their sweep of OMG in Tuesday's quarterfinals, Royal Club.
Yeah, and for Royal Club in the quarterfinals, after getting warmed up in Game 1, they just decimated OMG in 25 minutes to get that 2-game sweep and advance into this semifinal series. And the star, obviously, in that game was Uzi. You know, we heard tales of his dominance, but we finally got to see it in action. Seemingly preemptive reaction times as far as cleansing key crowd controls was key in their victory for Uzi.
Yeah, now Royal Club and Uzi are taking aim at the most lethal team in Worlds. Fnatic has consistently caught people by surprise with their rotations, ambushes, and teleports to rack up the highest team KDA in the tournament at 8.3.
Yeah, and one of the reasons Fnatic picks up so many kills after those rotations and hiding in the fog of war is because they have so much chase potential built into their team compositions and the champions they pick. So when they usually win a fight, they end up killing everyone. As we saw in their quarterfinal against Cloud9, you know, give Peke casted once, shame on you. But give Peke casted twice, and you're eliminated from the World Championship.
And the fact that Peke loves his casted and won't be lost on a Royal Club that has been studying Fnatic since Season 1. Their big gun Uzi is prepared for Fnatic's unorthodox style and ready to carry his team to the World Final.
我觉得我们算是了解他们吧，因为他们打了这么久比赛了，他们用的英雄还是在Season 1的那几个英雄。
I think it would be really hard to play against them, especially their AD carry Uzi. He looks pretty strong. Yeah, Royal Club looked really scary actually. Like we had scrimmed them a bit and they didn't look that strong. But yeah, I'm pretty scared of them after that game.
This is going to be a win for Royal Club. They are going to take down their Chinese rivals.
I think Uzi is just played as normal. Always we have balanced the time to attack, to engage, or to disengage. So we have almost 100 protection on Uzi. And we know that if Uzi survives, we still can win.
我们需要做的就是让自己的失误减少到最低，发挥出自己应当有的实力。
Uzi is good, but he's hyped. If I would do a play like Uzi would, then I wouldn't be hyped at all. But other players get hyped, so.
我们有和他们打过练习赛，但是感觉他们都在乱玩，所以也不知道他们真正的实力。
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to welcome the Evil Geniuses jungler Snoopy to the desk. He'll be helping us break down the picks and bans for all of today's games. Snoopy, thanks for joining us. We obviously heard in the preamble that you kind of are a Fnatic favorite here coming into this matchup, but really, how do you see the lane squaring off as we see Peke versus White in mid, and you got Uzi and you heard Puju talking there?
Well, actually, I think mid and top lane, I think Fnatic has a bit of an edge. I think it's more coming down to this bot lane. Whether Uzi can actually pull off actually carry the game or not. I think is the really thing they have to watch for is the TPs. If they get baited in by Putsu and they set up a TP play, it's really going to be crucial in this game.
And we were really talking earlier about how the teleport is going to be key in this series, but we don't know when Fnatic is going to bring it out because it's kind of their final strategy, and if they give it up in the first game of this best of 5, it might give Royal Club too much time to adapt to it because it's one of those things that you can scout, but you really only experience it when you play against Fnatic.
And this is something that we considered coming in this first ban is the Annie, and it looks like Fnatic does show respect to it.
Yeah, I can see from Fnatic's point of view right now, the same reason that you're scared of the double teleport from Fnatic, you're scared of the support Annie from Royal. It's something that they run better than anyone else in the world, and you can think you practice against it, but it's still dangerous, so it's a smart first ban.
It does open up those squishier supports as well for Tabby. He can play the squishier supports, like the Sona and be more aggressive in lane. One thing I'm surprised at the Lissandra ban, that's a key ban actually for Royal. They really needed to ban that because that would shut Uzi down those mid to late game team fights, coming into the side and flanking, so it's a really key ban. And Castlin as well. Yeah. Imperative. These two bans are key bans against Fnatic, and it's really good to see Royal actually ban these out because I think we've been central to the Fnatic strategy.
I'm seeing more target bans here than we've seen really throughout the World Championship because I think as far as Fnatic's playstyle against Uzi, I was thinking of the ways they would shut Uzi down, and it was like, oh, if they just pick Cast and Lissandra, they're going to just focus him out in team fights and blow him up. Royal's not letting that happen, and finally the first standard ban, I'd have to say, would be the Zed right here.
Yeah, but definitely as well. Seeing a Shen ban come out, I'm kind of okay on that. I'm not too taken away by that. I think this actually allows Uzi now to run cleanse on supports. It doesn't have to run that barrier. There's no much burst coming out with these bans coming out. The only thing I'll be seeing now is Fnatic may pick up the Fizz. There we go, the Fizz,
yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to go Ahri or Fizz because Peke had a huge amount of success on Ahri and it was left up here. But I mean, yesterday we did see Faker struggle a bit with Ahri in the Gragas matchup, and I know Whites has played Gragas in the past. It's a different thing, but first pick Fizz is a tell right there from XPeke.
This pick by Godlike, I'm actually quite surprised by. I didn't think that we'd lock in the Jax that early because Soaz doesn't play Jax. So that's a really interesting pickup by Godlike so early. The Elise is quite an obvious pick. Sine plays it as well. It's not one of the core junglers. I think Jarvan's actually a more core pick between Lucky and Sine if they're going to trade over a pick. But it's nice to see them pick up the Elise. The Jax I'm not so sure about though.
Yeah, I actually wonder what Fnatic's going to do against Jax because that's a pretty big curveball that Royal's thrown against them. Yesterday, once again, Renekton seemed to be the pick against Jax. Other than that, Jax is a difficult matchup. I was talking with a lot of players like, what do you actually lane against Jax? And I could not get a solid response from a lot of them. So I want to see what Soaz has planned here because he is one of the most versatile top laners in the world. Or if they don't even pick the top laner yet, because they're going to want to lock down supports. I think Zyra's an underrated pick, and Corki, of course, for Pushu has been huge this World Championship.
We actually saw Uzi pick up the Corki against OMG in the first game, and then the second game he actually didn't. He got banned out by OMG, so that's an interesting pickup there by Putsu, and I think it's going to be a solid one for him. He's played so well in this tournament with it. I wonder what they're going to respond with Graves. I don't think it's going to be Graves. Will we see the Vayne coming out again? And maybe it's a bit too early to pick the Vayne. As well as if he goes the Summoner spells, if he goes for the Tabby picking up Lulu, actually, that is a big one. That is really big. Yeah, he defaulted to that when Annie was banned out and Sona was banned out. He always went to the default Lulu pick.
It's really interesting for Fnatic here now, since with the Lulu Vayne, it is incredibly difficult to assassinate Uzi, especially with this cleanse. And knowing that Cassidy and Lissandra have already been taken away from Fnatic, it to me pushes Soaz into more of a diver or more of an assassin in the top lane. I don't know if that'll work against Jax. Sure, they already have the Fizz from Peke, but I don't think the Fizz alone is actually enough to take him out.
How do you guys feel coming in with these compositions that, although they both want to fight, both teams also have a huge amount of disengage if they want to get out? Fizz can tricks her out, Lee Sin can tricks her out, Valkyrie out. It almost seems like both of these teams are setting up comps that don't fight each other.
Somewhat true. I mean, there's a lot of split push potential between a Jax and a lot of split push potential between the Vayne as well. None of them can actually deal with the Fizz 1v1. Maybe Jax if he gets going. I don't think Godless can really get going though.
Okay. Yeah, as far as Fnatic goes, their disengage is going to be all about their overall map control, because as soon as a team fight starts, everyone has to go in, and it really is going to be difficult to take out Uzi knowing Royals put up so many shields.
Yeah, one of the integral parts of Royals team comp actually is the fact that they've looked to protect Uzi. It's one thing we always said, if Uzi doesn't get going, then they might not win the game, and they've looked for really protect the Uzi comp. Lulu's a relatively safe laner, can be a bit more passive, so they can dodge those TPs if Peki actually does pick up TP. Doesn't look like he has yet though. And as well the shields from Orianna. I think they're really looking to play around Uzi in this game, and I think we said that coming into it, and we'll see if they can pull it off.
Yeah, as of right now for Fnatic's team composition, I don't think they got exactly what they wanted. Yes, they picked up Ileona, and they got an early Fizz, but I think the Lissandra and Cassidy bans really hurt their overall strategy, and they're going to struggle to finish off Uzi in this match, I think.
All right, gentlemen. While the teams load into the game, let's see who you at home think is going to win this series. According to LOLesports.com, 74% think that Fnatic will be taking on SKT in Friday's World Final. Double Lift said Royal. Everyone else said Fnatic. So we'll have to see what comes down to that. What were you feeling at the end there coming in for Royal's team, how they're going to work? You said a little bit of split push. Is that really going to be what they want?
I don't think it's necessarily integral to the split push. I think it's more around protecting Uzi. I think that's the core component of Royal's team comp. And I think they can do that. They really only one big assassination from the XPK's Fizz, the high element of burst. Right. Sure, they do have the Leona coming in, the Zac coming in, but I think as long as Uzi, with his godlike positioning, I think if he can survive through all with all the shields that he has, he also picked up Barrier, and it's going to really help him.
All right, it's going to be a big laning phase on this one. We know Royal likes to fight. We're talking about Fnatic liking to get the picks. We are about to load into this game. Jat, when you saw Fnatic's picks, did these seem like it would be a first game Fnatic? They don't want to show too much, but they're also coming in with what they want.
I'm a little bit worried about Fnatic's picks right here, because even though they did get a lot of what they wanted, I don't think they have the answers for Royal right now. I feel like Godlike might be able to contain them with his Jax in the top lane, and Fnatic's going to have to outplay substantially.
All right, thank you very much, Snoopy. We'll see you for game 2 coming into Champions Leg, but right now we are into our first semi-final matchup. It is going to be Fnatic versus Royal, game 1 in this best of 5.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. What are they going to do? I'll tell you one thing that surprised me just towards the end of that. Twitch wasn't banned or picked, which has been actually the main champion for Uzi getting into this tournament. But they feel they didn't need it, and Riv, we may see something happen straight away here.
They get the sight. They are going to be able to back off this one. A good roll towards Cyanide, but it looks like this is only going to be pressured. No! Peke tries to go in for the fight. They got good damage onto Uzi. Good damage onto White. They could continue to follow here. Godlike is trying to get out of this. It's going to be the connection from Cyanide. Will they continue?
Uzi no, incredibly low, but they did not continue. And let's have a look at. Let's take stock. Not really many summoner spells used by either team.
Yeah, exactly. There's an ignite down on Godlike's Jax, and Uzi's flash is down. Where on the other side, it's the ignite from Soaz and the flash from Yellowstar. So overall, it's actually an even trade. We weren't sure how aggressive the level 1s were going to be. We know that Royal loves to mob around as 5 at every point in the game, but it's usually very rare that two teams actually bash into each other like that and nobody dies.
Yeah, I was wrong. They want to fight, and they just did. So a minute and 30 in, they both have shown a little bit of that damage. The wards have gone down, which means it's safety for the junglers, at least in their pathing. But once they get to those lanes, we'll have to see what can really happen. Kill potential coming out of a Jax Elise lane, quite high. Not so much crowd control from a Cyanide Soaz, but those guys will go at it.
And it takes me back to Season 2 a little bit there with the level 1 fight engages we used to have, and it always used to be a case of when I talk to the players, it's like, what can you do? We said, you've got to fight them, you can't give up your jungle. And you know, we've seen Royal throughout the qualifying and the tournament against OMG, the match they had there, they were not afraid to go level 1.
And I'm looking at these lane matchups right now. Because the jungle invade happened, the teams didn't actually get advanced scouting on the lanes. I've seen some different things.
That's
Corki
true.
versus Vayne. If I was Fnatic right now, I would want to 2v2. I don't feel like Leona is the strongest 2v1er unless you're able to secure kills. And at this point, Corki can out-harass Vayne early in the game, so the fact that Royal has a 2v1 against Soaz as Zach in the top lane, I think gives them the preemptive edge in the lane matchups.
See what Peke can do here. White's actually putting a good bit of damage on, getting the auto attacks in when he can, making sure he gets the highest advantage in that lane as soon as possible. You can see Lucky now hitting level 2. And he'll get himself some help and get around that jungle.
I mean, Godlike isn't even messing with that 2v1, which I think is generally smart because you can tell already Pushu and Yellowstar have been freezing that lane. It's already 3 minutes into the game. It's going to be about 3 minutes and 30 seconds before that wave would even hit the turret. So it's actually pretty smart of Godlike to effectively be double jungling at the start of the game because it's a way of him getting experience. You contrast that with what Soaz is doing up in the top lane. He hasn't gotten a single creep because he's just been sitting while Royal is farming.
Yeah, and if you pass that back to obviously the OMG game, they did the same thing. We talked about the fact that Godlike on Renekton just went completely out of there, didn't want any of it, and sort of pressure on that lane, which now he's finally in lane. What, 3 minutes 30 into the game, he finally gets into lane.
And it's strange because coming in, when we were scouting the Chinese teams, it seemed like they were still very wrapped up in that 3v1, 2v1 split push strategy, and we're like, why are they still doing this? North America and Europe moved on from it long ago. But they're still really good at it, and it's been getting them here. It's been pushing them ahead in a lot of these games, and it's still effective. They're pulling it off in this game.
Uzi and Tabe have much better of a situation with the Glitter Lance coming out from Tabe. You can't exactly just Zenith Blade all day under the turret. Peke going quite low in mid.
Yeah, the Ignite being put down there. They're trying to get the damage down on towards him. He's chugging that potion. He should be safe. But look at the farm between them, 14 to 26. There's a big advantage for Whites already.
Whites' Orianna has just been killing it right now. He actually saw Leona cross over in a ward, but he's almost baiting a 2v1 in the mid lane. This is allowing Godlike to farm up as well because they know Fnatic support is missing, and Whites doesn't seem very scared of that level 2 Leona.
What a roam already from Yellowstar, trying to get himself down and get a kill here for Peke. They know where they need to focus. This entire tournament has been focused around those mid players.
But look at the difference. Yellowstar's still only level 2.
Yeah.
He's been away from that lane for a long time. He was warding as well around the blue buff, so he's missed a lot of that experience. So he's already 2 levels behind almost on his counterpart in that top lane.
Yeah, we have to say the early laning phase is just flying in Royal's favor, and Fnatic so far this World Championship actually hasn't been that strong in the early laning phase. It's a matter of them falling slightly behind before they can catch people in team fights while they're trying to rotate between lanes. But Royal is flying ahead of Fnatic right now. If this keeps up, Royal is just going to take the game in the laning phase.
There's been no objectives obviously taken here, but there almost stands 1,000 gold lead for Royal from what they've done in the lanes and what they've been able to do so far. Here comes the gank onto Puju.
Godlike gets in, gets a good double counter strike down there. They're going to have to force to use that barrier to block off Pushu. Look, he was coming around. They saw him passing that water. They know he was there. They didn't go too deep, but that was a really good trade considering this is a 1v2 lane, effectively for Godlike. He's kept up in level, and he's putting more damage down on Fnatic.
You still see there are some consumables down in Yellowstar's side. These guys may have what it takes to go back in one more time. They're standing eye to eye right now. We see Cyanide's back in the top lane, but they don't have vision of him, so that's why they're hesitating.
I think it's incredibly dangerous right now for Fnatic to actually go in on Godlike. Godlike got so much experience from jungling early on in the game, and now Soaz getting dove.
Yeah, you can see he's in trouble. That's going to be the ultimate. The passive popped. Will it be enough? Will he get that cell division back together? Tabe is very, very low. He's going to come back in with just a little bit of hit points and flashes out of it.
Wow, that does mean, though, Soaz is very far behind in that lane. He made a little bit of a mistake, but this lane advantages that Royal is accumulating are just hamstringing Fnatic. Every lane of Fnatic actually needs help right now, so Cyanide is not able to pull off any type of aggressive jungling maneuver. He's trapped at 9 CS, 6.5 minutes into the game. This is the second big camp Lunky has tried to invade in Cyanide's jungle, and Cyanide's still just trapped up top, babysitting Soaz.
And he's sitting on a ward right now. He's also down 7 CS in the jungle. Well, Lucky's been able to stay in this bottom lane, go into the jungle, steal golems, get wraiths when he wants on the side of Fnatic. They are not letting Fnatic get an edge here.
They are not, and Godlike, you know, they've got to start dealing with him. You know, we've always seen yesterday how a Jax gets going again. The Cocoon lands on Yellowstar, taking incredibly low. This could well be first blood, but no! He's gonna, there it is, the Ignite finally ticks.
Seemed like the last tick of Ignite from Godlike there, and that's why it was dangerous for Yellowstar and Pusha to be in that lane. They were out-leveled by what effectively is a kill lane with Elisa Jax.
Yellowstar actually still has a potion coming out of that, but now it's onto Soaz. He goes down too.
This game is running away from Fnatic extremely quickly. 2,300 gold, only 7.5 minutes in. Every lane going Royal's way, and they're picking up kills in even fights, 2v2s. What is effectively just the lane matchup up top with Vayne and Lulu against Zac. This is huge trouble for Fnatic because without teleports as well, they don't have sneaky moves to make around the map and get some of these kills back.
Desperate times, and if you look in that mid lane, you talked about it, 72 to 31 CS farm behind Whites. Peke is miles off, and he's the man that has to carry Fnatic through this one. And at that stage, I'm not sure he can. We're only 8 minutes in, and they are way behind.
That early Fizz pick was a dare to Whites, seeing if he would be able to shut him down. He didn't decide to go for R. We've seen that matchup play out, but the Orianna pick, actually coming into this tournament, people were saying Peke's strongest champion was actually Orianna. You'd think he would see that coming a bit more, but White's almost without jungle pressure, pretty much no ganks coming through, just a straight up 1v1 is absolutely decimating Peke, who had been so dominating throughout this entire World Championships up until this game.
And Peke is actually trying to hit a spike really early, getting that Sheen first. Still down, about 40 CS in that lane.
Yeah, you see most Fizzes go for double Doran's Ring. He's completely skipped that because I think he recognizes how far behind Fnatic is falling right now.
That's a dangerous, dangerous move. We do see Royal Club getting ready to go for this Dragon. Fnatic, I don't really think they can counter this one. We do see Peke coming down with Cyanide, but honestly, with the rest of the team slowly closing, Royal are backing out of this one. I'm not too confident.
That's the interesting thing. It's because Soaz has left the top lane and Godlike has basically called that he was missing. He saw him walk through the ward, and instead of risking something, Royal is going to continue to take their monstrous lane advantages. Godlike has effectively been left alone to maybe just push down that turret. At the worst for Royal, they get a turret for this Dragon.
And already we see the pink wards coming out of Royal. There is one on Cyanide, but we'll see if they can get this Dragon coming down. We do have Whites and Lucky just on the top side. They will have to give it up with Vision on their side.
I like that call overall from Fnatic. Even though they do trade objectives, they're at least accelerating the gold a little bit, so their lead percentage-wise, or their deficit isn't as large in this one. They give up the turret, but they do get a big objective in the trade.
Godlike, of course, just going to nail down that turret. First one of the game will go to the Chinese team Royal Club here. And that Jax, you got to be careful. We've seen him get it going yesterday for, it was for Najim Blacksword actually that used to run him. Weren't running very, very well. And I could say SKTT1 ran him as well, because Jax seems to have been one of the champions of choice in that top lane. And as of yet, no team has found a solid counter to him.
Yeah, we were thinking we were going to see a lot more Jax in this World Championships in the group stage because of the Trinity Force buffs, because of all the hype we've been hearing about him, and because players like we saw yesterday from Najin Sword Expression had played Jax even before the buffs to much success. I think it's going to be a huge pick throughout this entire series.
Yellowstar not 6 on this possible engagement towards the bottom lane. They don't have vision on Peke in mid, so they're kind of hovering on engaging on this one. But they are all still trying to pressure the advantages. 109 CS over 54 in the mid lane. 102 for Uzi over 75 of Puju.
Yeah, that's some big, big differences in terms of farm between. You can see the gold stacking up. It's 1,000 gold advantage in that mid lane alone, just between the two. Oh, he's going to see the Starlight go, get on towards him. Uzi's going to get caught down.
Tabe gets hit up pretty hard. He's going backside. They're split up on their positioning here, but Cyanide's trying to continue the kill. Tabe's there. He gets the ward down. Oh, he missed the Q, but he gets the kick in. That's what's having the ultimate is worth.
It's the nice insurance from Cyanide, just smacking someone away with a big kick. And actually, I'm very surprised Uzi brought barrier in this game, because if he cleansed that, he dodges the Leona gank, and that's the crowd control dive that Fnatic loves to pull off and try and get back in this game. Considering how many wards Royal had placed in the river and inside Fnatic's jungle, the fact that Cyanide and Yellowstar could approach that gank, brute force through the lane, is huge for their overall potential in this match. Those are absolutely critical kills, and Fnatic, because of that, is still in this game.
So we see the Phage Stones get built up by Pushu, almost the standard build, of course, for a Corki. He's going to go back and see what he can get with that kill and assist gold that he's just picked up. It is going to be the Sheen, so no boots still for him. Meanwhile, he's going to be up against that Blade of the Rune King, Uzi, in that bottom lane. Farm-wise, We mentioned it already. He's fell quite far behind, but those kills, those assists, they're gonna be needed.
It really, really helped. He actually brought 20 CS back just within that small instant, so he's getting himself there. We'll see what they can do in the other lanes. We've seen Peke having a really hard time, but there's been no kills really to come from that lane.
And something that we have to note is the general strength of Fnatic's solo lanes is what has gotten them here. But both Soaz and Peke are getting destroyed by Godlike and White so far in this match. These CS differentials are not something Fnatic is used to playing with or against. I really want to see how they react to that. Effectively, Pushu and Yellowstar have to carry this one, even though their solo laners cannot support them or ward off ganks with the presence of their mid and top lane teleports.
And you know, we've seen a similar comp from this one before from Fnatic in the European LCS. Godlike just bullying Soaz up the lane. What is effectively, or what they're aiming to happen is Peke is going to be the man split pushing on his own. The rest of Fnatic get a 4-man group. And honestly, right now, Peke is not going to be able to deal with Godlike.
Round 2.
Oh, the lockdown coming in on Tabe. The heated blade hits. They may be able to take out Tabe here. He throws the wild growth on himself. Uzi doing what he can. Gets the condemn at the wrong time. And it looks like they are going to lose the support.
It doesn't look like they're going to give this one up, though. Uzi's going to catch on towards Pushu. The cyanide in there is going to be the safeguard to try and help him. Man, he comes in, he gets knocked up. Lucky's going to go down. He's repelled away. He's got no minions to get out of this one. Oh, has he? Because the white shield saves him.
You can see an absolute focus right now by Fnatic on that bottom lane. Cyanide is effectively trying to camp Uzi and Tabe. That was very close to being an absolute disaster for Royal, but actually Cyanide missed 2 of his Sonic Waves in that engagement.
Oh, the warding really helping Peke finding a bit of trouble there, and he will turn tide and head the other. Actually,
he still wants to go.
He's going to trick this one out. He may try to stay. They are closing in on it. Cyanide's hovering.
He's going to come across. Instead, he's going to go towards Lucky.
Oh,
The Ignite sticking. He will get him down, but is he going to be able to get away with this one? He's trying to trade it. He hasn't got the damage to deal with Whites, and Whites does take him down. Uzi, meanwhile, is playing safeguard, keeping Cyanide away.
Questionable fight there. While he was able to pick up Lucky, giving a kill to Whites' Orianna, who was already dominating him in lane, is bad.
There we go, bouncing him out. It's just still being a bully. Godlike flexing his muscles constantly in this top lane. Continuously stealing blue, goes in! The flash does not pop the cell division.
That was close. That was...
Soaz even knew it.
That was a disaster waiting to happen in that lane. It's a level 11 Jax versus a level 9 Soaz, and because Cyanide has made it very clear that he is trying to help out Pushu and Yellowstar, Soaz is effectively on his own against an incoming monster Jax. I cannot fault Cyanide for his decision here. It's always safer and often better to gank the lane that is even or winning than to gank a lane that is losing. Because if Lucky only mirrored ganks, assuming Cyanide did try to go for Zac, it would be a disaster and it would effectively just cascade the game in Royal's favor.
And you know what? I'm not sure Godlike's going to give up on that top lane. He's going to back off now. I think he's just going to go back and buy and come back again and just keep ramming that lane down Soaz's throat and the rest of the lanes. Because they're all losing, they all need their help from Cyanide. Cyanide's effectively having to leave that lane alone and help out Pushu in this bottom.
Yeah, it's the perfect storm for Royal and Godlike's Jax right now because they have effectively 3 lanes that scale amazingly well because normally you see Uzi's Vayne, you say we have to shut him down. And what Royal is doing is they're taking that threat and they're allowing Godlike to be his own threat on Jax. If they did not have 2 players right now that are so far ahead in Jax and Vayne, that strategy would not pay off.
Locking down the Dragon here, coming in at 16 minutes. Oh, the Sonic Wave coming across. Cyanide does not connect. Soaz doing what he can in the top lane to pressure this as Peke is actually going to join him.
Yeah, Cyanide looking to try and get that steal. I'm not sure if Soaz has quite got enough with this wave to take this turret down. Doesn't have a great deal of damage, just got that Sunfire Cape on him, and it's going to be the middle turret going down as well. Royal driving down all of the outer turrets now.
There's a bit of bis rotation there from Fnatic to go for Dragon, lose that mid. They're going to get top though, so it comes back to them.
So one thing Fnatic's been doing to try and stay a little close in this game, and they've actually done it fairly frequently, is they don't ward as much as their opponents do. Royal had generally complete vision across Fnatic's red side of their jungle. Oh man. And that turret's not going down, so the objective goal is not close either.
Yeah, so as his face told the whole story there. He wasn't too impressed with that one. Where are you going, Peke? You are way behind enemy lines right here. They're going to use duck lock on towards Uzi.
They saw them going towards Peke. They throw down the solar flare immediately, and they're going to come in from the side. Whites is also there, but he gets chumped and watered. Will they continue to go in? The condemn onto Yellowstar. They continue the fights. The third bolt proc, the tumble, the attack, the shock wave, and the turret's going to come in, but Peke enters the fight.
Uzi effectively used himself on Vayne as the ball delivery system. That is some aggressive positioning because of his Blade of the Ruined King and the Lulu ultimate. He effectively was an amazing self-peel, and now Fnatic's in a whole heap of trouble.
Yeah, Peke doing what he can to try and keep them away from this. What we see, Cyanide going very deep, trying to get towards Tabe. He's trying to save that turret, kicks back in towards White, but they don't want him. Peke's really got no mana to deal with this one. The Urchin Strike's not there.
Crazy.
And they just feed another kill to Uzi.
Whites and Uzi once again becoming the people with all the kills for Royal. It's their early grouping that just destroys teams sometimes. They won the laning phase so hard that as soon as they got a 4v4, even if it was estranged and often weird positions under a turret, Royal could push through and just capitalize.
They are spiking in their damage right now. The Athenes is out, the Sheen into the Triforce, oh, the Phage as well, almost into the Triforce coming in for Godlike. Let's watch this one more time.
Yeah, you can see Cyanide tried to come in on the side for the kill on Tabe, but watch the condemn from Uzi. Right onto Cyanide into the wall. So Cyanide never got off. I don't think he got off his ultimate for the execute. That's what he was trying to go for Tabe. He ended up trying to kick White's back. And then at this point, Peke is trapped between a White and a turret, and that is not what he wants to be.
And an interesting note to make about White on Orianna is Faker levels his Q. He actually went W, and you can see the amount of damage he's providing to his teams in those fights. So we'll have to see this playstyle coming out, maybe just against the Fizz, trying to get that burst damage out, but a little bit of a switch up there as still Royal going pretty glass cannon, like Fnatic likes to do.
Yeah, and it's a 7,000 gold differential now. Royal Club 5-0 up in turrets. We talked about the perfect game that OMG nearly had in the group stage. Right now, Royal are looking dominant in this one. And again, Godlike's like, where are you going, Cyanide? Nobody's wants to deal with Godlike. All of these fights have happened so far. Godlike has not been involved in them. He is becoming a monster in that top lane right now.
Sorry about that, I had to cough one time, but I wanted to talk about Godlike's Jax and getting the Trinity Force so early on. Because yesterday when Jax was successful, it was when he was allowed to farm. If he ever got rushed down, some of these games he would never even get to the Trinity Force. The fact that Godlike has it right now means even more trouble for the rest of Fnatic.
That's not something you just want to throw out there. No hook, line, and sinker onto Whites for that one. Tabe joins in mid. They are collectively getting together, but there's a two-man Baron.
Yeah, and look at all the wards in the river right there, completely constricting Fnatic from going and checking. It is a little dangerous, though. They would have to peel off this if Fnatic starts coming through, because Whites is actually doing blue buff at the same time. And Godlike got surprisingly low on this one. This could be a bit of a Fnatic turn.
Fnatic sense it. We do see Cyanide coming in, gets condemned away, tries to land a kick, goes in, doesn't get the smite down, and this could turn around badly. Godlike's in there, gets kicked away. They're going to collapse on towards Uzi. Uzi off on his side. That's going to be Pushu and Yellowstone. They should collapse him up. Cyanide has got away in the top lane. Finally, he's going to get down. Godlike gets on him.
Even so, this is huge for Royal. A 20-minute Baron now sitting on 4 people. That became, by the way, way riskier than Royal ever wanted it to. They effectively opted into a 50-50 in a game where they were extremely far ahead. Thank God Lucky rolled the dice and got that smite down.
Well, when you have about 11 wards on the map, I'm guesstimating at this point, it looks like you can do Baron when you've lit up the entire top side of the map. Royal has vision of everything. It's something we heard Deficio talking about in the preamble of the video. Fnatic will shut your vision down and they will take over consistently, and they were not allowed to do that from the first minute of the game.
And the problem was that when they went for that, the 4 members in there, Peke wasn't there. So they couldn't really collapse in on there. Pushu finally has helped take down that top turret. That's the first turret of the game for Fnatic. But as you can see in that differential and the positioning of Royal, they're going to take one of their own. I'm really not too sure Fnatic want to defend this one.
I don't know if they can. So much of Fnatic's playstyle normally is about holding turrets with 3 or 4 people while Peke goes off to the side and makes plays. But with a Jax and a Vayne at the level they are right now, Peke's not actually able to go off and make plays, and the wave clear from Fnatic, aside from what Pushu can put down, is rather suboptimal. Royal, this is the last effectively non-inhibitor turret that Royal has to take down, and Fnatic just startling to go in.
Looking at from Soaz, waiting for that slingshot engagement. He gets hit up. The crowd control from the shockwave actually doesn't do much. It is going to be Lucky, very low. Ignite takes him down. He comes down from Repel. He may continue into the base, but Godlike, he says that's a bad idea and backs up.
Yeah, this was just Fnatic trying desperately to defend these outer turrets. They got very low off of this one, and if the creep wave arrives in time for Royal, they're going to look to take down an inhibitor. They do not let their Barons go to waste. They're going to look for something big here.
Yeah, Peke and Pushu going back to base. They've got themselves ready from the fountain. They're going to be coming back into this one. Royal, though, continuing to push. They should be coming onto your screen in a moment. Yellow Star still ready and waiting, looking to try and lock someone up. But again, the damage from White's just doing enough job. And look at that inhibitor turret. It is almost down 22 minutes into this game. Royal continuing their speedy games.
And they don't have much siege protection, but you do have a Zac, you do have a Leona, you have a Fizz, everything that can jump on people attacking your tower. But Royal, they're not respecting any of that. Every time they have a chance at a tower, they take every shot they can. They will move back now and take the dragon, and they'll do it again.
And this is actually kind of illustrating one of the problems we saw in Fnatic's team composition during Champion Select, is since they've fallen behind, they don't have a way of effectively taking out Uzi, and that's not even considering Godlike's Jax. The fact that Tabe's Lulu and White's Orianna can provide so many shields onto Uzi's already stellar positioning on Vayne means Fnatic needs a huge amount of damage and burst potential from only Peke. Since Peke's been behind, since Soaz has been forced to building full tank without magic penetration because he's fallen behind of lane and Godlike, just means Fnatic has no answers for Royal's increasingly giant amounts of damage.
We'll have to see where they go here with just about a 10,000 gold lead sitting between these two teams for just under 2 kills in that top lane for Godlike, 5 kills for Whites. That has been from roaming around the map. None of those came from Peke in mid lane. They just could not get a fight together. The game was still just won over map control so far.
Royal Club going trading oracles effectively. Just as Lucky's run out, Tabe starts his up, and they do clear out every little bit of vision around that blue buff area. They're going to come in for that final inhibitor turret. They know it only needs literally a lick, and it will go down.
Yep, they still have a little bit left on this Baron buff, but they actually don't even have a creep wave in position. They would have to completely face tank this one, and surprisingly, Royal doesn't have a super tank right now, knowing that Jax is built so offensively with the Trinity Force and the Cutlass. They're going to look for a fight soon, though.
Soaz using quite a bit of what's necessary. Actually did not use Let's Bounce there. Looked like he did. He just threw himself out with Slingshot. This turret is going down. The open inhibitor at 25 minutes into the match. Baron's already been taken. Royal in the lead.
But no Baron buff on Royal anymore. Fnatic wants to make a last stand. It would actually be right here before this inhibitor goes down. Otherwise, Royal will starve them.
You see Peke just lingering off at the side. That Elastic Slingshot will be back up, but Soaz is already too low. He's already down to half hit points. If he's going to use Let's Bounce, it may be a suicide chance for him, and he's going to have to try and throw himself in there. Instead, it's going to be the first inhibitor of the game. 25 minutes gone to Royal Club.
Fnatic knows they have to watch a few of these things happen. As Jat said, they can't engage right now. It would just be even worse for them. They do want to figure out what's happening. They're trying to create those picks, but they don't even want to go in on their own attacks.
Yeah, 10,000 gold lead at 25 minutes. This has just been a completely Royal-controlled game. They won every single lane. They got the 50-50 at the Baron, which would have been a huge turning point if Cyanide would have been able to steal that. We have to emphasize that a lot. But since Royal got that Baron, since they have such a monumental turret advantage, it has shut down Fnatic's ability to catch people in rotations, hide in Fog of War, and actually use their huge amounts of chaining crowd control with Yellow Star's Leona. Even though Fnatic got Uzi down a couple of times, I think that opportunity has passed. At this point, Royal has too many shields and too many diversified threats that anytime Fnatic tries to lock one person down, that might not even work, and they're going to die to the other two big threats.
Going to push on the tower here, and one thing I want to really point out for Royal Club is the fact that how controlled they are. When we watched these throughout the regionals, throughout even LMG's games, they were diving in, even when it was an even trade. They're 10k ahead right now. They're still not diving in. They are taking this super seriously, really slowly pushing down those turrets.
There's the initiation. Solar Flare locking them down. They will try to get onto this one. Soaz gets himself into the fray. Prusu on the outside trying to put down the Gatling gun shred, and that is a beautiful wild growth, but it's going to be Cyanide going down.
Yeah, they tried to use the kick there. You see Cyanide going in. He got the 4-man kick in, but unfortunately the damage simply wasn't there to follow up.
Yeah, even though that was almost the best initiation Fnatic could have had, Solar Flare plus everything else, Royal can just finish.
Oh, they're going to get away from that Shockwave, but it's not going to be enough. You see Peke desperately trying to get in, get a kill. Finally takes down Whites, but it's all too late. Royal Club shut him down. They're going to get themselves another inhibitor.
And now with 4 people dead on Fnatic, they can get that inhibitor. They're going to continue to push in. You can see nothing could actually finish off Uzi. Pushu trying desperately with his rockets, but he is a one-man army against a lot of people.
And really, looking back to the early part of this game as we've now traveled 27 minutes into this, Lucky and Godlike double jungling the early part of the game. An early Baron from these guys. The kill potential of Jax and Elise, destroying the lane of Puju and Yellow Star on the bottom. Soaz and Cyanide did what they could in the top, but it was ultimately the sway of where the solo lane started to win.
Yeah, I think so much of this was Royal's domination from Godlike and Whites. I cannot fault Fnatic for trying to focus down Uzi because, let's face it, he's an amazing AD carry. They actually put a decent amount of shutdown onto Uzi, but they forgot about Godlike. Whites destroyed Peke. And if you're a Fnatic team that wants to beat Royal, you just can't have that happen. Peke has to either pick a stronger pick or, well, Fizz is obviously a strong pick, but not against Orianna, or he just needs to perform better in lane. Without Peke roaming around and making plays, Fnatic does not execute.
And that is always the danger of picking your mid lane very straight away. And it's something that actually in the European LCS they just haven't done. It's not been done for a very long time. So it surprised me and surprised the teams even coming into this tournament like those mid lanes were getting chosen straight away because of the fighting over Ahri, fighting over Zed.
Yesterday Ahri was 8th pick, 9th pick?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Absolutely right. You're correct on that one. 8-1 in turrets. I think it shows really what Royal wanted to get out of this game, how much they wanted to protect Uzi, how much Whites knew he was comfortable. And, you know, as you were saying that Peke is also an Ori player, it kind of shocks me that that lane went so heavily in favor of White.
All credit to Whites right here.
Yeah.
We know Tabe was very confident in Whites' ability against Peke. All respect to Peke as well when he was saying those things. He just has faith in his own team, as well he should have. Royals on an incredible winning streak right now. This will be the 6th game in a row from their qualifiers, and here's the dive.
They're going to jump in. Shockwave just wrecks down, push you down. This is going to be Royal Club's game. There's nothing the Fnatic can do to come out of this one. It will be an ace to follow up. The only man standing is Peke, who's just run back to the fountain. He is just going to hide and curl up and hope that second game will go better.
Yeah, this has just been domination and early surrender from Fnatic. Only 29 minutes in. Good game by Royal Club.
Coming out very strong in their first game. We have not seen Fnatic use one of their unorthodox strategies here. It may be time for that to come out, but maybe they'll go full roll with one of their straight compositions they use coming out of the ULCS.
Well, that's just it. I'm just not used to seeing it, or more to the point, I am used to seeing it. I don't like seeing when Fnatic don't go for that full assassin comp. They don't have Soaz on something that can roam and gank. Yes, his Zac has been incredible over the season, but up against the Jax, they're going to have to deal with it.
Well, let's be fair right there. Royal did a fantastic job in picks and bans.
Yeah.
I think getting rid of the Caston and Lissandra, and then knowing exactly how to deal with Peke's Fizz, additionally picking a Jax early and basically telling Soaz to pick Zac or a tank, someone who wouldn't get beasted down by Jax, didn't work out very well in the end for them. Fnatic has to make multiple adjustments because I think the early scouting by Royal absolutely gave him a strong victory here in Game 1.
And let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Yep. We had 4 games on the red side win. Will we see Fnatic turn it around? It seems that the counter pick right now seems to be the stronger option for these teams rather than the blue start.
Especially with the bans so far in this series, the first 4 bans were completely countered against the other team, not some of the power bans that we've been seeing earlier in the World Championship. As we progress farther and farther in, these teams know how to deal with that stuff. Ahri wasn't even picked or banned. Fizz was destroyed in lane. The game's changing.
All right, guys, let's get a little more insight on this. We're going to set it over a quick shot and the guys at the analyst desk for their take on Royal Club's monster Game 1 win.
Thank you very much, Riv, and what a game from Royal Club. They came out swinging and landed every single blow. Before we talk about the game and how that played out, I really feel like Royal Club did their homework in this matchup. They banned out Cassid and Lissandra, 2 champions that we've seen, you know, Soaz and Peke using particularly well, and then Shen as well. So with the added threat of those teleports, that's a lot of non-globals to deal with.
And when people talk about Fnatic's strategy in the pre-game discussion, we were all saying Fnatic's TP, this is how they're going to shut down Uzi. When you ban Kassadin and Lissandra, it eliminates a lot of what Fnatic has been using throughout the group stage and quarterfinals to use TP, and they ended up early picking Fizz, which I think was a big mistake because that's a little disrespectful of White. I don't think he knew that White played Orianna, who does really well against Fizz, and as you can see, at like 8 minutes, Fizz had 20 CS to White's 60 CS.
And there's something really interesting as well in the pick and ban game because we look at just yesterday's semifinal where it was like Jax has been used as a primary counterpick to Shen and he will destroy the matchup and did every single time. And here's Royal, who were happy to play Jax, banned Shen anyway because they weren't worried about the 1v1 matchup, they're worried about actually the teleport game. screw the 1v1 matchup. It's actually about taking Fnatic out of the comfort zone. And then second to that as well is the pick counter-pick point that Jap brought at the very end there, which is these guys blind picked Jax and said, bring whatever you want, we're still going to win the matchup. Meanwhile, they got to counter-pick Fizz and won that one really hard.
But it wasn't just the picks and bans that really showed the strength of Royal's planning right here. I really want to talk about this top lane jungle pathing that we saw, the follow from Godlike through the jungle. And it was really funny because this is the first time I've seen a professional team do that. But as Double Lift knows, Hotshot came up with this idea, and we were planning on using this in the LCS playoffs.
Is this season 3 secrets?
It's season 3 secrets. But we wanted the 2v2 lane against TSM, so we were going to use it if we got deeper into the tournament. But the basic idea here is if you do a full jungle clear with your top laner tagging along, both your jungle and your top will hit level 3 if they share that experience. And you abuse the fact that most 2v1 laners, the two-man will decide to pile the wave and slow push it into the turret. So you have this assumption that they want to build the wave, so that gives you a lot of time to get back into that lane, and therefore it gives your solo laner a pretty big advantage and is a lot harder to dive.
Yeah, this is pretty much a really nice elaboration. I'm coming from just doing wolves on a solo lane and then going back to lane, just getting all those camps, as Moni said. And as you said, yeah, I really like the part that it punishes people who stack waves. That's why recently in Europe we see more people just going for the fast push 2v1 to basically have the least risk. It gives more reward in the worst case, but it's way less risky. At the same time, it punishes Leona really well. If Leona stacks waves, all she can do is dive. So technically, Cyanide should join Leona to guarantee the dive, because if Lucky and Godlike join up and use those AoE spells to clear the stacked waves under the tower, there's literally nothing you can do as Leona. You cannot chunk a tower, you cannot dive to people, you get pushed out. And then I really like how Royal handled the Leona. In early game they did that. Mid game you have Lulu and Vayne. Condemn can get her away. Wild Growth can both stop Zenith Blade and protect people that are getting hit. What I would like to see still though is Uzi going for a cleanse. As we pointed out in talking during this game, double shield composition on a Vayne should be enough to keep her alive, and I really think you should opt for a cleanse there over a barrier.
And actually, to talk about your point, I guess both your points around the 2v1 setup and the jungle clear, think back to the very beginning of the game, because that game started on a very hectic early game fight, and Fnatic, if I recall correctly, did not have a lot of deep ward coverage spotting the jungle route. That in part of this game, Royal knows that Fnatic doesn't know he's clearing the wolves and clearing the red and clearing the wraiths, so Fnatic doesn't have the intelligence or the knowledge to counteract that.
That's exactly right, and when we were planning for it, you have to deny those deep wards, and one of the ways you can do that is with a pretty fast invade. So it all comes together. Yeah, that's a really good observation.
Or a level 1 fight where you force everybody and not actually doing it. One thing I want to touch on, because we focus very much on the very early game, is just how well White's actually played during the course of that matchup. You know, his Orianna dominated Pekka in the mid lane. He managed to force a flash and ignite very early on. He was up, I think, like 80 CS approaching the 20-minute mark. I think he went 5-1-3 or 5-1-5 towards the end there, I can't recall. He had a brilliant performance, and he was almost, you know, swinging the game in their favor. Even though all the lanes were doing particularly well, White counter-ganked, he was in the bottom lane when there was trouble, he was roaming at the right times, and Royal just played that phenomenally.
And I think Peke was a little arrogant in first picking Fizz, because if you remember back in group stage when they played Gambit, Peke was on Fizz and he randomly turned around the lane by killing Alexich with an amazing play between 2 towers, and that's not going to happen every game. He played against White this game, and White played safe and smart, and he got an amazing CS lead. White ended up actually roaming bottom lane. Orianna should not be out roaming Fizz. And I think that won't happen again. I don't think Peke is going to early pick an assassin like Fizz that can be counterpicked by a good player like White.
Well, closing thoughts, Crepper?
At the same time, this ties in with the entire 2v1 matchup. So they deny the vision, they force 2 against 1. That pretty much guarantees that the jungle is going to show up in one either top or bot lane, and that makes any counter matchup in mid any more potent. Like Orianna can get ganked by Lee Sin and Fizz working together, but because Royal was forcing these 2v1s, they basically said, hey, have your mid lane free to yourself and just win that matchup.
Wow, fantastic research and decision-making from Royal secures in the first game in the series. We do have to take a very quick break, but when we return, Uzi and the rest of Royal Club will try to make it 2 in a row against Peke and Fnatic. Plus, SK Gaming's mid laner Ocelot will join Shox to talk about his semi-final showdown. The Season 3 World Championship. We'll be right back. Don't touch that mouse, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Season 3 World Championship. Time to get into our next match fairly soon, but first I'm joined by SK Gaming's mid laner Ocelot. Welcome, Ocelot. I gotta ask you about your opinion about that game one. I know you know Fnatic very well. How do you think that went?
Well, the first game didn't go as well for Fnatic, but I actually got my hopes and faith on them. I really want them to win. They are Europeans, you know, and if they win, that would be like so much hope for every single European team, because we were, you know, so close in ULCS. So I really hope they win, just for hope, just for Europe, just even for an A in a bit, you know. And let's make it happen, man. Let's keep cheering for them. They can do it.
Now, of course, it must hurt your heart a little bit that you can't play here. You are a great mid laner. What have you picked up from all the world-class mid laners we've seen in action here?
Well, I've picked up many things, especially this year, which I didn't play as good. But let's say that here in World Finals, the most important thing I picked from somebody is from Faker, and is that you actually have to have fun. You have to YOLO the game to actually play good, you know? You have to be creative, and you can only be creative if you play just full YOLO, you know? So that's the best thing I learned, and I'm gonna put it in practice, of course.
Okay, put it in practice, of course. Next season coming up, we know that 2 of the members of SK Gaming have gone to NIP. What's up with the team right now?
Well, Kevin and John decided to leave to NIP. I'm okay with that. I mean, they're very, very nice players. They are very nice persons. They're gonna fit perfectly. But you know, despite that, SK Gaming and myself, Ocelot, are gonna be extremely well by ourselves. And things are gonna be extremely alright. With or without them, no matter where, we are SK Gaming and Ocelot, it's gonna be alright, no worries.
All right. Now, of course, you've been here for a while. How have you been enjoying your time in Los Angeles, despite your little accident?
So I'm here in LA, and actually 3 days ago, just jogging, running, being healthy, I broke my ankle. So what do we learn? Don't be healthy, don't run. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, and actually I did it for the ladies, you know, because ladies love crutches, you know. So being around with my crutches, I got the sympathy card. But yeah, you know, I actually love being here. I love the people. I love the ladies, of course. And I enjoyed so much being here. You guys are really awesome, and honestly, it's been a dope time. Thank you.
We're very happy to have you here as well. Of course, finally, maybe, what do you think the final is going to be like? Who's it going to be? How's it going to turn out?
My head says, whatever, dude. My head and heart says Fnatic, go Fnatic.
Thank you very much, Ocelot. Great time having you here. Have a good time. Take care of that foot, even though it's good for the ladies. And as for us, we're going to go back to the casters for game 2.